Disney's disastrous year continues as The Mandalorian struggles to capture their former glory. It can be argued that Star Wars have been on a downward spiral for a while now. When The Mandalorian first aired in 2019, it became an instant hit with fans, with a star-studded cast including Pedro Pascal, Gina Carano, and the spectacular Giancarlo Esposito as Moff Gideon. How could you possibly fail? The first season of The Mandalorian was met with raving reviews, and it felt like the franchise was finally getting back on track. Sadly, you can always count on Disney to destroy the worlds they build. It did not take long for showrunners to start mishandling certain aspects of the series. The loss of Gina Carano was another very big point of contention for fans. Her firing sparked massive outrage and ultimately turned many fans away from the show. The Mandalorian is now back for a third season, and sadly things are not going great for this former breakout show. With that said, The Mandalorian Season 3 Episode 1 recorded one of its lowest viewership records yet. It is estimated that the first episode of the new season brought in about 1.5 million streams on Disney+. This will put them well below previous record highs. However, it is worth pointing out that streaming numbers are not that black and white. Although Season 3 had about a loss of 1 million people over the same period of time than the Season 2 premiere, those numbers can still increase. With episodes up on Disney Plus to view anytime, nothing is stopping viewers from tuning in at a later stage, and maybe they will. The trailer for The Mandalorian Season 3 was released, and it immediately became the highest viewed trailer for a Disney Plus show ever. This does prove that the excitement for the series is still very much alive. Sadly, that viewership did not translate over to the actual series yet. As stated before though, it still can. Personally, I like to wait for all the episodes of a season to become available before I watch. When it comes to viewer opinion on the show, there has definitely been a bit of a drop. Although the viewer reviews remain in the high 80s, internet opinion has been a bit more divided. Keeping all of this in mind, there are many speculations about the loss of interest in these Star Wars shows. Disney like to milk their franchises as much as it can, and just like Marvel, Star Wars is no exception to this rule. Since the first sequel trilogy, all the way back in 2015, Disney has been pushing out shows one after the other. Obi-Wan, Andor, and the Book of Boba Fett are but to name a few. In addition to the shows, they have also released a slew of spin-off movies. This includes Rogue One and Solo. Although some of these newer Star Wars releases have been received better than others, overall reception has been mixed at best. Many are calling for quality to take priority over quantity, but when you have spent billions on acquisition rights, I guess you do have to milk it as much as you can. The president of Lucasfilms, Kathleen Kennedy, has also been finding herself in the hot seat over the years. Many have been calling for her resignation, hoping that a change in leadership will bring about improvements. With the original success of The Mandalorian, Iron Man, and Spider-Man star Jon Favreau has been looked at as a possible replacement. It should be pointed out though that things under him will be more or less of the same. Although many fans would like to see a change in direction for the Star Wars universe, sadly things will most likely stay the same. Even with mixed reviews, Lucasfilms remains extremely popular. The sequel trilogy starring Daisy Ridley was not very well liked by fans. Despite this, those movies went on to make billions at the box office. As long as this continues, so will the movies. The term decline is interesting. Profits for Disney remain extremely high. With that said though, the same does not hold true for their reputation. Although Disney as a brand continues to dominate box office numbers, fans are starting to pull back. A recent slew of box office disappointments is not helping their case either. Profits for Disney will always remain high, purely due to the volume of movies they release. With Disney Studios, Pixar, Marvel, and Lucasfilms working on movies, Disney almost always has at least one film in the theaters. With this much content being pushed out, profits are inevitable. The question remains though, is this sustainable long term? Disney not so long ago deceived to do a massive corporate reversal. When previous CEO Bob Iger decided to step down, he handed over the reins to Bob Chapek. Chapek in his tenure did make quite a few fumbles. He reported a loss of over $1.8 billion for their streaming service. He faced mass backlash over theme park price increases. But the biggest blunder came when he decided to pick a fight with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. This was a big blunder for Bob Chapek, and one that ultimately cost him his job. The board decided to reinstate Bob Iger, and just like that, Disney signaled to the world that they might be in trouble. While we cannot yet say that Disney is on the verge of failure, the backlash against the movie giant is set to continue. They consistently face backlash over their live-action remakes. Marvel continues to push out box office disappointments, and people are starting to get tired of Star Wars. This does lead many to the next question. What is next for Disney and Star Wars? As stated previously, no drastic changes will happen in the immediate future. Disney will continue on their current directory as long as the profits roll in. As a result, you can expect them to milk existing franchises even more than ever before. Live-action reboots will continue to happen in the foreseeable future. Peter Pan and Wendy, The Little Mermaid and Snow White is set to release very soon. Marvel will also continue with their current trend. While recent films like Ant-Man and the Wasp failed to impress box office audiences, many more solo films can be expected. The next big Marvel movie will be The Marvels starring Brie Larson. Just like Disney Studios and Marvel, Lucasfilms will also continue on their current trend. New movies and series will continue to be pushed out. There are currently plans for a Star Wars Squadron movie. Wonder Woman star Patty Jenkins is likely to take the helm for this film. With all of these movies set to release soon, only time will truly tell how things will play out for Disney moving forward. Although we are moving over to a more digital space, Disney themselves have made a successful transition with Disney+. As long as they continue to follow the trends and release in volume, they will likely be here for many more decades.